welcome back. So in today's video, I thought I'd share with you my 8 tips on how I have been building self-discipline. So self-discipline has become a big part of my life, and I truly believe that everyone needs self-discipline in some sort of way in the certain areas of our life. So I used to be quite demotivated, lazy, and not taking actions or not knowing which actions I need to take in order to achieve certain goals, especially being in my 20s. So I'm talking now a few years back because I am in my 30s, and I don't know what's about 30s. I think when you turn 30, you feel different and you feel like life just begins and you start discovering new things and you want to take actions and you want to become a person that you want to become and build a life that you have been wanting to build, but you just didn't know how to. At least this is my experience. Let me know if you can relate to this, but if you're not in your 30s yet, then it's definitely to look forward to something. But regardless, whatever age you are, I think it's just so important to aim to improve yourself, develop, evolve, and enjoy every moment and every year of your life. That's, I think, the most important thing. Through self-discipline, I have become a person I am today and achieved the goals that I have been wanting to achieve today and going to achieve and going towards my aim and becoming more and more that person that I am visualizing every day to be. And also self-discipline when you start developing yourself, overall self-cultivating. Everyone around you sees that as well. Some people see your change in the good way and some people see your change in the bad way, so they move away, or some people become closer and take example of that. I think especially if you have someone who is younger than you, they definitely absorb that information that you're projecting, and they definitely always looking and taking example of you. So it's so important to be that best role model for them, but also not just children, someone who you live with, people who are close to, whether your friends, your family, your partners, anyone, they also take that example without you even knowing. As the saying goes, you become what your environment is. It's important to understand that self-discipline is not an innate skill. It's a learned behavior that most people can learn over time through certain practices and right strategies. It's not something that you're just born with or it's in your genes and you're just naturally self-disciplined. I know that some people are just so good at achieving things and getting things done on a daily basis, whether that's to do the things that they think, how they feel, the things they achieve and what they do externally. They're just so good, and you perhaps look at them and think, wow, they're just so natural. It's not me, that's not how I am. Well, I used to think like that, and that's not true. If you really want to, you can put certain practice in place and become self-disciplined, and you can thrive in life. Nothing stops you other than yourself. You're the only one who stands in front of yourself. However, of course, I understand that it can be very difficult to build self-discipline and build that behavior if you haven't before, especially if you come from the family where that behavior wasn't expressed or showed or taught. There are people who come from the families where the behavior has been showed and they've been taught self-discipline and practice throughout their childhood. Then going into adulthood is going to be much easier for them and they would have more advantage than you. However, I think regardless of whatever situation you are in, or regardless of how your childhood was and how that foundation was laid for you, as an adult, we have to make the decision. All the power lies in our hand, and I think there shouldn't be any excuse as to why we shouldn't build self-discipline. So my tip number 1 to build self-discipline is to manage your mind. It's very important what is happening in your mind, the things that you allow to come into your mind and the things you are allowing to come out. I think before you do anything else, you need to sort your mind and see what's happening inside, review and analyze it. Because if you cannot manage your mind, how will you manage anything else in the physical world? What actions to take and what actions not to take? There is a quote by Napoleon Hill that I really like. Self-discipline begins with a mastery of your thoughts. If you don't control what you think, you cannot control what you do. So what I really like doing now, writing things down, journaling, what I feel, what I think, the thoughts that I want to project, the thoughts that I don't want to project, especially in the morning. If you have any ideas or anything, it's so good to wake up and write them all down. And before bed, anything throughout the day, we accumulate so many different thoughts, positive, negative, confusion, not confusion. There's like loads and loads of files like in the computer, and I think it's so important to literally download all of them onto the piece of paper and write them all down so you can go sleep with a clear head. That's what I love doing that. And then you allow space for other things, more important things perhaps. But before you do anything, you just have to manage your mind, which I truly didn't understand the importance of it before, and I clearly see now. To step to my self-discipline, I have to do that first before I do anything else. My step number 2 is self-visualization. It's important to know your direction, where you're going, to have a clear direction. And I think the best way is to actually visualize the things that you want and how you want them to be. So for example, this is what I do. So visualize how you want to be. What do you want to feel? How do you want to look? Who do you want to be friends with? Who do you not want to be friends with? Even if those people are not yet physically in your world, you still can visualize your perfect ideal friend or partner. And how do you want to feel daily? What do you want to do as a job, as a hobby? How do you want to present yourself every single day? What do you like? What do you like eating? What you don't like eating? Where do you like living? How do you eat healthy food or you don't eat healthy food? So these are just examples that I have been kind of visualizing and I have been doing this for a little while now. And I think keeping that clear image in your head, and it gives you a pathway, it gives you a direction to where you want to go, because otherwise you will be just feeling lost. And I think if you don't do self-visualization, then you kind of don't know which direction to go. You roughly know how do you want to feel. Now and then you'll think about how do you want to look, whether you want to work out or you don't, whether you want to lose weight or eat healthy food or you don't. But I think it's so important to visualize exactly how you want things to be. And it's okay if it changes over time. You also can write them all down. That's what I like to do. You can physically see on the piece of paper what you have written. So whether it's in your journal where you can see it every day, look at it, or stick on the wall, on the mirror, or anywhere where you can see daily. And also you can put photos, doing a self-visualization board. I love doing that. So I create mine on Pinterest, and it's a great way to not just imagine in your head, but actually physically see what you are imagining, if that makes sense. So I think that's a very, very powerful step to practice on a daily basis, and you do it until you achieve what you want to achieve. It's almost like manifestation, I would say. So self-visualization, it has been proven that it's so powerful. It's like training your muscles in your body. So more you train every single day, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, and it starts showing results. So then universe can hear what you want and start presenting in this physical world, because you start projecting those thoughts and those emotions and those feelings out there in order to be rewarded, and you attract what you want and what you feel and what you see. My tip number 3 is to set realistic goals. So it's important to break down your goals in more manageable steps that is doable for you and the things that you know you can achieve right now. So if you have big goals, and we all have big goals, and I'm not saying that you cannot dream big, because I am a true believer that dreaming big is good. And I like to dream big, I like to imagine, and I like to go all out with my thought and my mind and self-visualization, and I don't really have limits. However, realistically thinking, I know that if I have a big goal, I need to think if I can really achieve this right now, whether it's in a month's time or in a year's time or in a 2 years time. I need to think it's fine to have those big goals, but I think it's so important to break them down step by step and start with the first level, the thing that you need to do first, then second, then third, then fourth, and so on, until you get to the end and you will make that big goal happening for you. Otherwise, you won't be able to measure your goals, and it won't be attainable, and it will be so overwhelmed, and you will want to give up. You will not want to do anything, and you would then rather leave everything up to God, universe, whatever you believe in, you will leave up to that, and for the life just to happen. And I know, speaking from experience, I have set big goals before where they were way too big to reach for me at that time, and not knowing exactly how to break those goals step by step in order for me to achieve. And it's not fun. I'm sure you have been in that position before, or maybe you are, and it can be very demotivating, and it can be very tiring, and it can really set you back. My tip number 4 is having a plan. What are you going to do and how are you going to do? So you need to write all of these things down. Don't keep it in your head. I know I keep saying that is so important. Even in my previous videos, I have mentioned that it's so important to write everything down and not keep in your head, because all that information will get lost, at least if not all, most will. So it's so important, just write it down, your plan, what things are you going to do, and whatever you write down, make sure your plan is actionable so you can take action. And I think it's important to understand, and it's something that I realized with myself a while back, that I learned how to make a plan of everything, because before I never used to make a plan unless it's in my head, but I never used to actually make a plan on a piece of paper that I can look at it every day. But when I learned to do that, I became more better and better. However, all my plans used to be just on the paper. I never used to actually take action, physically do what I need to do. So it's so important, whatever you write down, it's important to take those steps physically and do them daily. So even if it's a little step, even if it's a little thing that you're going to do, it does not matter. What it matters that you take action, because you can do as much planning as you like, but if you're not going to take action, then you're not going to have result. My tip number 5 is to act with your thoughts and not with your feelings. I know that motivation is great, and I know that some days we don't feel like doing certain things and we don't do, and some days we feel motivated, some not. And I don't rely on motivation as much as I used to, because you can watch something like, let's say you watch this video and you feel really motivated and you think, right, I'm gonna get up and start doing these tips that Ugne has shared, and you start, but then that motivation starts kind of lowering down and decreasing, and after a day or two you don't want to do anything that I have shared with you. You don't want to, you just go back to your old life and your old self, because that's what motivation does. Motivation is great, it's a powerful feeling that brings to you, but it doesn't last for long, at least in most cases, unless you have a very big life goal with a big why, and that motivation keeps you going. However, on a daily basis, our emotions go up and down. It's like a roller coaster. Honestly, if I relied on motivation and how I feel every single day, I probably wouldn't get anywhere in life. I will be up and down constantly, will be stuck in the same situation, and I wouldn't evolve, and everything around me will change, but I will not change. That's why it's so important to actually rely more on your thoughts when it comes to self-discipline and the things that you do daily. So implementing habits and turning them into routine. It's important to go by what you're thinking, what you know is right to do. So even doing when you don't want to do, you just have to go what you think is right to do. The hard truth about self-discipline that I have learned, that you have to say no to short-term pleasures in order to say yes to long-term pleasures. And this has been a hard pill to swallow for sure, because there are so many things on a daily basis that I want to say yes because they're enjoyable for the time being. They're much easier to do, they're more enjoyable, more achievable for the time being. So much easier to say yes. But what I've learned, there's a lot of things that I say no on my daily basis, as much as I want to say yes, in order for me to get what I want to get in the future. And I know that happiness, fulfillment, and self-improvement, it will last for much longer period of time than saying yes to a pleasure that I would enjoy right now. There is a quote that I really love. Discipline is the strongest form of self-love. It is ignoring current pleasures for bigger reward to come. And I am not saying at all that you have to be like a soldier. Every single day has to be strategic, and you have to do certain things at certain time with no fail. That's not what I'm saying at all. Of course, there has to be balance with eating, with exercise, with your thought process, with the things that you're doing. And there will be failures on maybe every single day, maybe every other day. But what matters that you don't give up, and you get up and you do what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, discipline leads to habits. Habits leads to consistency, and consistency leads to growth. And tip number 6 is to do things that you don't want to do in order to strengthen your discipline muscle. The things that I do on a daily basis, I think about 80% of those, maybe a little bit less, maybe 70%, I don't want to do them. I really don't want to do them, but I know I have to do them. I have to implement those habits to turn them into routines in order for me to get where I want to get, and in order for me to thrive in life and feel the way I want to feel, look the way I want to look, think what I want to think, and attract people that I want to attract. And I know there is a lot of things that we don't want to do. So if you don't want to make your bed in the morning, you have to make your bed in the morning to start off. This is just an example. Or if you don't want to clean your room or your house, then you do it. You do it anyway without thinking. You get up and do and take the action. I think this is where the discipline will start developing, and that behavior or that skill will start integrating into you, where you will just naturally do it. So in the past, I used to get up from the bed and grab my phone. I mean, my overall routine was not the way it is now. I have disciplined myself in many areas, more like a morning routine, and in the day-to-day what I do. I'm still working on my evening routine and bedtime. I'm still trying to discipline myself, how I run my evening routine and how I run my bedtime routine as well. But for the most part, I am very much disciplined in the morning, especially morning, because it's so important for me. Mornings is where it sets your whole day. Morning is the foundation of how your day will go. So I think it's just so important for me to get up and make my bed, which I never used to do that, and then not sit on the phone and not even go on the phone for at least an hour or 2 hours. Is something I have really integrated in myself, that I will just consciously will not do it. And it has become a habit. It has become a part of my life. So this is what I mean. You have to do what you don't want to do. And it truly builds that kind of self-discipline muscle, where it becomes stronger and stronger, and it becomes more easier and easier. There is a quote that I really like from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Every action you take is a vote towards the person wish to become. And I think this is so powerful. I love this quote. It just represents or kind of relates to what I have been saying, that every action that you take every single day, whether even if you don't want to, is a vote for your future self. You're voting for yourself, and you're representing yourself now for the future to become that person that you want to. And it really depends on you what actions you will take now and daily, and those micro habits will add up to big habits and bigger results and bigger rewards in the future. If you haven't read this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, honestly, I truly recommend. It's really good book. I've learned so much. I believe that's where my self-discipline journey started, and it's great because it talks about the actionable steps that you can do today, and about compound effect, those micro habits that you do daily, what it does and how it builds up. But also it teaches you how you can actually build habits if you haven't got that skill, you haven't learned that behavior, and how you can eliminate old habits as well. And I know this book has been kind of a mainstream book, advertising on social media, etc. But honestly, it's really good book to read. I've read once already, and I'm planning to read second time. I'm going back to the books that has had a big impact on my life, and so I can write more notes. And also, if I read once the book, most likely I don't retain all the information what is written in the book, so I like to review again. So I'll leave the link below if you want to check out this book. And if you're not a reader, probably they may have an Audible as well, so you can listen to it instead of reading. My tip number 7 is to have your why. So anything I do in life, and if I have setbacks or obstacles in my way, I always go back to my why. When I want to give up, I think, why did I start doing what I'm doing? What is my purpose? What is my aim? And by thinking that and having your why, it will bring up that emotion, that feeling, that image. They will combine all together, and it will motivate you to get up and carry on no matter what gets in your way. You will still carry on and keep looking ahead and keep going. So I think having your why is your own motivation. You self-motivate. You don't need to look externally or ask for anyone else. I think this is the only motivation that for me personally lasts, because I hold my why. And why do I go to work? Why sometimes I have a strict routine? Why I do certain things that I don't want to do? So before I start feeling like I want to give up, I think of my why, and I think it's so powerful to have that. So whatever you do in life and you don't want to do, just remember the reasons why, like going back to exercising, losing weight, or eating healthy food. Well, why are you doing that? Why are you eating healthy food? Why do you want to lose weight? There must be a reason, and that emotion has to be attached to your reasoning, which it must be quite strong. So I think regardless of what's happening in your life, write your why and always look back. When you have those setbacks and have failures, then look at your why, and it will give you motivation to get up and go. Because anything externally that will give you motivation, like I mentioned before, is just a short term. It's not going to last for a long time. My tip number 8 is to track your achievements. It's so important to see what you have done throughout the time, the things that you have achieved, and acknowledge them, and also give yourself gratitude and reward yourself for the things that you have done and achieved them. Because if you don't track them, then you won't know the things that you've done, and you most likely will say to yourself, well, actually I haven't done much this year. I didn't really achieve what I wanted to achieve. Yes, you might have not achieved all the things that you set out, because that happens. Life happens, situations happen, and circumstances happen, and that's okay. But I'm pretty sure if you do what you need to do, there will be things that you have achieved, and you can look back, you can track them, and you can see that there are things that you have achieved and you have moved forward. I think it gives clarity when you track your achievements. You can measure the things that has worked and it hasn't worked. So you do a reflection, like you do self-reflection, and then you can see for the future the things that perhaps you need to implement new things, or you can carry on with the same things, or the things that don't work for you anymore. So I think it's so important to track your achievements, whether you write them on the phone, on the laptop, like digitally, or you write on the piece of paper. It doesn't matter, but I think it's so important to track them and not keep them in your head, because like I said before, anything that you keep in your head and is too much and for a long time, then you will not remember, you will not be able to track them. Remember, every single day, make sure you take action, whatever that may be for you, even for 5 or 10 minutes, just don't give up on it, and you will build self-discipline through habits, routines, consistency. It will stack up and it will build up over time. You may not see results yet or right now, but you will in the future, and you will thank yourself for sure. You will see those tremendous changes internally and externally. And if you have enjoyed this video, you may like this video as well on self-motivation, so check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye for now.